Jaco and Lula are going to get their second stage win. Australia as a nation will take their third. And with Chris Harper well ahead of all the major drama playing out behind him. The stuff that will be in the headlines tomorrow, that will be talked about for decades to come. Next to the drama that is Simon Yates about to win this Giro in a style not even the greatest scriptwriters could imagine. This man's name will be there as a stage winner. Absolutely incredible. No wonder he's emotional. Chris Harper tops a day of legends, a day we will never forget. Perhaps the day of days at the Giro D'Italia. At the Giro this year, for the third time, it's Aussie, 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 because they win, and win again. Chris Harper with the third Australian stage victory at this Giro, and the biggest moment of his own cycling career. And talking of those moments, it's final kilometer time for Simon Yates. The joy for Harper here. The epic headed by him. But there are so many strands to this script and story. Harper with the first headline. But the one that's going to be on the big pink paper tomorrow will have Simon Yates' name in big, bold letters. 5.5 hours. 5.5 hours of the most epic bike riding that you are ever likely to see. A day of destiny, fate, a massive twist of it. The tension building up for 3 weeks. An explosion on the Colle delle Finestre. We've seen that before where Simon Yates is involved. He tasted the lowest of lows in 2018. They called it doing a Froome. His face getting off the lift at the end. Something those who saw it as they were shell-shocked will always remember. But now, this is the day we will all remember. They'll now call it doing a Yates. Very rarely in the history of this sport, perhaps never in the modern history of this sport, has there been quite a turnaround. He trailed by 1:21 at the start this morning. Simon Yates is going to comprehensively defeat the rest of the competition. It's redemption like we've never seen it. It's Simon Yates at the Giro D'Italia, and we will take years to understand exactly what's happened. Not even the best Hollywood scriptwriters would have put this together. It is sensational. Remember where you were. Simon Yates certainly will. And tomorrow, barring incident or accident, in Rome, the eternal city, his relationship with the Giro D'Italia will be eternally redefined. The Colle delle Finestre now belongs to Simon Yates.
What a ride.
What a ride is an understatement. Simon Yates has just written one of the most glorious chapters in the history of professional cycling. And having trailed by a minute and a half almost, he is going to win the Giro d'Italia by several minutes. They're at the car, they're celebrating. Sean Kelly, not even they can believe exactly what's happened. Well, I certainly can't.
No, I don't think anybody can understand immediately. But when you, I suppose, sit down and look at the situation, this was a one where Yates took the risk, went away on the Col de Finestre, and really rode a really strong, great performance. And when you see the ride he did all the way to get to Van Aert, that was a big day, and he was on a big day. And you get those big days and you can do great things, and that's what he's done. He's done an enormous ride here, and of course we will always talk about the situation behind, but chapeau to Yates. He took it on and he wins his Giro.
One by one they come across. It's very rarely that we sit here in the commentary box absolutely shell-shocked.
Oh, I'm so happy.
Today's one of those days. There's Harper. They were teammates. And now they are brothers in arms at the end of a big war out there in the northwest of Italy. And finally, after 7 years of suffering, he will be sick of the sound of the Colle delle Finestre. Now, he will want to be reminded about it forever.
Well, I think there'll be a lot of thought about the Colle delle Finestre for Simon Yates, because, as you said, Rob, you know, he had bad memories from years ago. Now he's going to have unbelievable memories, and I think going into this race this morning, you know, Simon Yates, deep down, it was going to be a difficult one against Carapaz and Del Toro, the way the race was looking in the last number of days. And that's what you have to, you know, calculate, base your race on. But he went out, he tried early, and it worked out. And, you know, the two men here on the screen, it's amazing the way they just marked themselves out of this race totally. And, yeah, the big benefit and the big performance to Simon Yates. He's winning his Giro.
And they're still marking each other all the way in. We'll have all tomorrow in Rome to have a look at what happened tactically. For now, there will be utter joy, amazement. Giro d'Italia is a race that lives on epic, lives on legend. The Tifosi love a good story. For that reason, we love this race. And I do not think this is an exaggeration to say that today we have seen one of the chapters that will live forever in the history of the Giro. We're sat here trying to take it all in. They're pedalling home, trying to do the same. The ball was running, wasn't he, until this morning. Right at the bottom of the climb. He still looked good. A third of the way up it, things were in control. He was following. Over the top, they still had a good chance. But into the final 400 metres, Sestri awaits. The questions will be asked. And just as Colle delle Finestre defined things for Simon Yates for so long, it will do for Richard Carapaz and Isaac Del Toro. He will sprint to try and get the anger out the body. The young bull, for a long while, looked like he'd tamed the master matadors. But instead of killing off the competition, it killed him. Del Toro fails to finish the job. Lifts his hat off to Simon Yates in recognition of what he's just seen. Because Isaac Del Toro, after 11 days in the Maglia Rosa, now knows that tomorrow in the streets of Rome, he will have to bow down to the new emperor, who will be Simon Yates. Del Toro consoled by his good friend Giulio Pellizzari. Del Toro will win the Maglia Bianca as the best young rider and will be on the podium in Rome. But he knows he could well have been wearing a different colour. It's nice to see this reaction. I'm sure once he gets onto the bus, it will be a very different feeling. Wout van Aert is on his way in behind. What an assist. He's gone from seconds, thirds, not winning, being nowhere. Here, Wout van Aert is back. In Siena, we said never doubt Wout. Simon Yates didn't. Simon Yates trusted. And Wout van Aert played the final pass. As Simon Yates smashed it home. I hear that there's even been a tear shed or two back in the studio today. I know there will be in a corner of Lancashire. Simon Yates is going to pull on the Maglia Rosa. And after a day like few others in cycling, after a day like not many we can remember in the Giro d'Italia, Chris Harper wins the stage. That is an exploit in itself over the terrain we've been on. But the real drama was behind. And not even the greatest Hollywood scriptwriter could have put it as well as Simon Yates did. Simon Yates, tomorrow, barring any incident or accident, will win the Giro d'Italia in Rome.